Hi, Jamie here. It's been such a long time since I've made a video, and I really hope you're doing well. Um, the big news around here is that my family and I will be moving back to the United States within the next month, so we're really excited about that. My husband got a new job, and same company, but a new job. And yeah, so we're really excited. The kids are excited, to go home and see their cousins and all of that. But I wanted to share two experiences I had recently. I still am logging tons of lucid dreams, and I really attribute this to the fact that I've found my rhythm. I've found what works for me in my new life, which probably will change when I move. But for now, my children get up at 7 a.m. and I get them ready for school really quick and they're out the door in like 15 minutes. And then if I feel like I could go back and lay down, if I feel like I'm just tired enough to sleep but still kind of in that in-between state, I can go back quickly and get lucid quite easily. That's one way. The other way is that I've been getting up to have a drink of water or my iced tea, usually around 4:30. And I've had a ton of experience with that too, where I can get lucid. So I say all that because I think finding your rhythm is so important, and I know I struggle with it. And once you find it, I think it really does work for. And I think everybody's different in that way, where what works for them. So, but I'm a big advocate of the early morning time. So I'll just dive into an experience I had recently, and I want to preface this experience with something that happened to me recently. I just recently had my tonsils removed. Um, I was having chronic sore throats, and I have a whole history of strep throat. So I did have my tonsils removed. I did it in Shanghai, and it went really great, and I feel so much better, and my psoriasis is a lot better, and I'm working on that too. Anyways, so, but when they put me under, I went somewhere for like an entire day. Um, the nurse, when I came out of anesthesia, she said that, most people are really, really tired. Like 90% of people are just super tired after coming out of anesthesia. And like 5% are kind of like upset. And then like this really small percentage of people come out just like euphoric and blissful and hysterically crying in joy. And that was me. I can almost get emotional thinking about it because that I don't recall in my lucid experiences ever having like this feeling of spending huge chunks of time. There's been tons of times where I come back and I'm like, wow, it's only been about 45 minutes, but it felt more like 3 or 4 hours. But to have days, like an entire day go by, and my surgery was only like 20 minutes. So I wanted to share that with you. So basically, I mean, there's not much details to it, but when I was under, I was with a bunch of people and we spent the day together, and it's almost like towards the end of the day, we went and got dinner, and I'm sitting at the table, and then my kids and my husband were there, and it just hit me like, oh wow, I've been here, like I was semi-lucid, and I said, I've been here for like a day, and I lost complete track of waking life. I had no idea what that was about or what was going on. So when I came back and I saw the nurse's face, it was just an incredible sense of, I was just blown away that I had been gone so long. And here it was only 20 minutes and the surgery was over. I mean, I was ecstatic. It was euphoric. It was a real euphoric feeling. So on that note, that kind of segues into an experience I had recently. And since it's been a while, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna make this a little longer just to kind of give you some fun details, because this last experience I had where I got lucid was so intense, and probably on the scale from my experiences, like if I have to level them 1 to 10, this would be like my ninth most incredible experience. And I really hope it translates in that way. But basically, I was lucid, and what happened is that I was waking up in, I'll just tell you the details. I was waking up in a different universe or different dimension, and I did this wake up 4 times. I would wake up, I would basically have a false awakening, but I was lucid. I knew that I knew about waking life, so I guess it wasn't a false awakening. But anyways, I would wake up, and my instinct in this place was to go find a woman. And every time I did, I found her, and she was blonde. I would go to her house, and every single time I went to her house, I was carrying a frying pan. And every single time I'd like rush to the door, I just knock, 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 and then I burst in and I'd say, you know, I'm here, I made it, I can't believe I made it. And then she'd kind of like bring me in, talk to me about like what the frying pan meant, which I could kind of go off on. It's like just about stuff and about where I was and why I was doing what I was doing. And this happened 4 times where I would just sort of wake up and then rush to her house with this frying pan. And the 4th time I was very high level lucid where I realized this is like a recurring thing that's going on. I need to really start paying attention more. So I really jumped a level and was like really focused on paying attention. And this is the point of the lucid dream where I realized that I had the sense that there had been long chunks of time that had been passed. Multiple days had been passed, and I felt that going on, and I really started to forget and become kind of hazy. It's almost like I was really lucid, but I was hazy, and it's almost like my other life just was no more, which I have not necessarily ever experienced before. So I go to this woman this 4th time, and I'm like, why do I keep doing this? Like, why am I? And she's like, she's explaining to me what this place is and how it's different than Earth, and which is kind of another recurring thing with me, and about how the rules are different. It's always about how the rules are different. And then I'm like, okay, okay. And then so she takes me and we go outside. She was out in the backyard with like some other people, and she saw me coming in, and she's like, almost like this expression of, oh gosh, here she is again. And so she's like, she gets up, she's like, oh, Jamie, you're here again, you know? And I'm like, yeah, you know, like what's going on? And so she takes me outside, and there's a booth with like a bunch of people kind of milling around outside. And there's a woman that's selling like handicrafts, like craft items. And she's like, here, let's sit down. And so we sit down, and there's like a line that starts developing behind us. And she says, do you want to buy something? And I said, I don't have any money. And she said, do you need money here? You know? And I'm like, oh, I could just sort of manifest money. And so I asked her, I said, am I allowed to do that? And she said, you can certainly try. And so I basically put money in my hand, and it just was like American cash just stacked up really high. And then I gave it to the woman, and she was like, oh no, this thing is 50, you know, and you only have 25 or whatever. And I was like, okay, so I made some more. And she's like, oh no, no, now it's 100. And I realized that she didn't like that I was manifesting the money for her crafts, and she was kind of messing with me. And that's when I looked around and everyone was staring at me, and I realized that I was kind of like the outsider, and I had potentially just done something that was like not illegal, but just kind of frowned upon. And so I just said, okay, sorry. And I got up and left, and this woman walks with me. And we're walking down the street. It was me, this woman, and another woman. Both of these women were blonde. And basically, we're walking, and that's when the epicness of it hit, where I thought, I have been here so long. I mean, I live here now. Like, this is my home. And I really let that sink in. It wasn't scary at all, but I mean, now we're going on like 4 or 5 days of being gone. And I remember feeling like there's so many times where you're lucid, and I'm sure so many of us have that experience where you feel stuck. You don't feel stuck. You feel like you can't stay in. You feel like, you know, things get foggy, or like, you know, this was the highest level of lucidity I have ever had, besides like real true projection experiences where things are just very real. I mean, I lived there. It was crazy. And so I'm looking at the horizon, and it's just beautiful. I mean, it was like orange and pink, and there was like rolling hills, and we kind of turned a corner, and there was this beautiful like dog laying in the grass that I just thought was so beautiful, and everything was so beautiful. And I really stopped and looked around and thought, this is my life now. This is where I live. Oh my gosh, it was so intense. And I came out of it eventually, and I clocked the time at being exactly 50 minutes. So I went to bed at 6:15, and I got up like maybe around a little past 7 for my kids. My husband came and like kind of shook me and said, it's time to get the kids ready. So, I mean, we're talking about 45 minutes. And I stood up and I looked at the room, and I have never had that feeling where I thought, I've accomplished something. I don't know. I mean, I hate to toot my own horn because you guys all know how much I know these things are hard, but I felt like I accomplished something where I'm doing it. Like I'm living longer than I'm supposed to. Like it was really intense, really intense. And that whole day, the feeling, I couldn't shake it, that I was given like 5 extra days. I don't know how to explain it. But anyways, this video is already past 10 minutes, which I usually don't do. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I just wanted to say, just to share that experience because I thought it was so cool. And please tell me if you have that experience as well. I would love to hear it. I mean, I've always said that I talked to a lot of you, and like there are probably at least 5 or 6 of you that your stories are like way more interesting and exciting than mine. So anyway, so I would love to hear from anyone. I hope you're doing well, and I'll keep you posted on my move. And thanks so much for listening.